Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day and welcome to another Bona Training Camp video. Today we're going to be talking about, if it isn't obvious, the Bona Power Drive. So this is the planetary sander that really changed our industry and how people approach their sanding processes since it was introduced in 2014. You know, and I don't think we anticipated how much of an immediate impact it would have on our industry and how it would change those sanding processes right away. We thought it might start out as, you know, nice utility, accessory machine that would fill in some gaps for you and maybe do some things your other sanding wasn't, or even supplant some of the stuff you were already using. But it quickly became the machine that a craftsman had to have, and the one that their crews fought over every day, especially if you had multiple crews and just one power drive, on who got to use it on their jobs that day. That's how quickly and how much it changed the way guys were viewing their sanding processes. You know, it's just incredibly versatile. So not only being able to handle all of your sanding needs for about 95% of what you're going to sand on the floor, it can also work as a regular buffer. You've got probably 4 or 5 different drive plate options you can put on it. You can apply stain with it, you can wire brush it, you can put the Tampico brush on it. Bona diamond sanding plates if you're having to go after some aluminum oxide or ceramic pre-finished floors, or something that's just real thin that you want to be a little bit careful with. So on all of your hardwood needs, you can even utilize it on concrete a bit with being able to remove adhesive residues, and even on resilient for the Bona program for that type of flooring, where we can resand and or recoat resilient floors using the Bona Power Drive. So at its core, as its namesake implies, the Bona Power Drive is a powerful 240 volt positive gear driven 4-disc sanding machine. The key to that is the positive drive and these gears, because that means my sanding discs are never going to slip and accidentally create those wild scratches in the floor that you may get if you have a friction driven plate, and or say anytime you've got a belt or a drum machine and you've got to go more than 15 degrees across the floor. Definitely if you're going at a 45 or 90 degrees across, you've just got some really serious scratches there that now it's going to take you a lot of extra work to try to get those out. In addition, the Power Drive eliminates a lot of the traditional floor sanding machine issues like no chatter marks, you won't get dish out, you're not going to get drum or edger marks, or those edger digs in the corner. So it just helps you create a flatter, more uniform surface every time with the optimal scratch pattern too. And it might just be that perfect surface that we've always tried to create. And it's aggressive, being a 240 volt sanding machine, yet it removes 20% less wood than a typical belt or drum sander. So that also means it's more sustainable for you and your customers and the investment they've made in their hardwood floor, if I'm taking 20% less off every time I sand it, and just helps the planet, and also maybe helps you move down to a smaller dust containment system, maybe from PDC 2.0 down to the DCS 50, because we're just removing less wood with this, all the while it's still being super effective in sanding our floors. Another really nice feature is the 6-inch sanding discs. So because we're using 6-inch, then we can also throw that in combination with our Combi Edge, which is also a 6-inch machine. And then you've got a variety of 6-inch random orbit sanders out there that when all those are paired together, I've got one size of abrasives that I'm keeping to do my sanding, to do the majority of my edging with this, to finish out the edging on my Combi Edge, and then to hit any detail areas or anything else left over with my random orbit sander, all running 6-inch stock paper. And it's a relatively simple machine. We've always said that buffer style machines are kind of a motor on a stick. Well, the Power Drive, being more than that, it's a motor on a stick on steroids. But it's still a simple machine, so that means it's less expensive to operate, it's less expensive when it breaks down to get it fixed, and there's just not as many moving components versus all the belts and pulleys and everything else you've got on a typical drum sander or belt sander. So that all works into a positive as being a craftsman yourself and what it takes to operate your business. So all in all, I think you can see that the Power Drive is a powerful, versatile, easy to use machine that easily integrates into your sanding processes and helps you add some new tricks as well with the variety of options and stuff you've got to run on it, from all the different plates to all the different abrasives. And from an operational point of view, because when you're running it in Power Drive mode, it has what we call this floating effect, where it's not pulling you like a traditional belt or drum sander. You don't have to worry about it tugging side to side like buffer mode would do to you, or being able to try to control an edger, which really takes months to teach somebody how to run an edger with skill to not put marks in the floor. But when this machine is floating, I can take the newest technician, I can take somebody who hasn't been in the hardwood floor industry at all, and after 10 or 15 minutes of simple training on this machine, I can turn them loose on 95% of this floor and rest assured that they will be able to turn out professional results, and for my own well-being, knowing that they'll be able to do that too. I don't have to worry about chatter marks, drum marks, edger marks in the floor, edger digs in the corner. They're just not going to be able to do this with the Power Drive, and so that really helps with my productivity and my peace of mind in being able to train new folks quickly on this machine. You can also run the Power Drive in multiple handle positions. So typically we're going to run with our operating handle here in about a 10-degree offset from vertical. In fact, it won't turn on if it's too straight up and down because there's a safety catch in here to prevent that. So about 10 degrees back is where I'm typically running this in that floating effect, standing over my machine. But we've noticed that some guys, whether it's to adjust for height or it's just more comfortable for them, they'll keep the lower part of the handle in that 10-degree offset, but then either adjust this handle a little bit forward so that they're standing up more over the top of the machine. May give them a little more control, or they just like that view a little better being over the top. Or if you need to, you can adjust the handle almost down to horizontal, and that can help you get into, say it's a tight storage closet underneath a stairway that flooring runs into, or maybe that stairway is just a completely open design. Again, we've seen guys take this handle, put it almost all the way down to horizontal, even sit on a stool in front of it, a roller stool, and operate the sander that way. In addition, when we take the Power Drive plate off and we're going to attach one of the more traditional buffer style plates like our multi-disc or Tampico brush or even a regular 16-inch round drive plate, then we can move our handle down into the traditional buffer style placement with the operating handles about hip height, and then run it there like you would a regular buffer. It's also more ergonomic. I mean, when you're running it in that floating position, it's not pushing or pulling on you. That means a lot less strain on you as the operator, on you, on the machine, on the floor itself. We've had a lot of great feedback from contractors who are maybe more in the twilight of their career, like myself, who have told us, you know, if it wasn't for the Power Drive, I still wouldn't be doing this business, because running a traditional sander edger, it was just getting to be too much for me. When I got my Power Drive and saw how easy it was to operate, how much less stressful it is on my body to run this thing, I can run one of these all day and just don't feel completely worn out. Again, it'll reduce your edging 50 to 80%, and your lower back is definitely going to thank you. And it's almost made edgers an accessory tool versus, you know, one of the standards that you have to have. In fact, some guys aren't edging anymore. They're doing, you know, the majority of their close to the wall work with their Power Drive, and then they're working in the really nice random orbit sanders, like from Festool, to do all of their edge work as well. The Power Drive also has a really nice low profile, especially if I take the weights off. I'm going to be able to easily access under toe kicks. The height of it on top of the motor, I can get under standard pantry shelves. So it helps you get into not only the main area of your floor, but any of those hard to reach areas that may be difficult to get a sanding machine or anything else in there. Pretty accessible with your Bona Power Drive. And we also talk about the Power Drive being all directional, but don't mistake that for there not being a cut point and a feather point on this machine. There are best ways to operate this, But unlike a belt sander or a drum sander, if I've got to go anywhere past 15 degrees on strip or plank flooring, definitely 45 or 90, with those type machines, I'm going to put severe cross-grain scratch in the floor that then I'm going to have to do a lot of extra work to go take that out. I can run the power drive any which way on the floor, and as long as I keep in mind that cut and feathering point and how I'm operating it on, it's going to be hard pressed for anybody to tell what direction you are running it. But make sure you watch our usage video for the power drive just to learn those in and outs of where's my cut point, where's my feather point, and what are some different angles and modes of operation and travel direction that I can run this to best work those into my system. And it's also lightweight at 110 pounds. So that means it's a lot easier to transport in and out of my van or truck, going up and down stairs, which we're usually just utilizing the transport wheels to gently pull it up and down stairs as we're going. But at 110 pounds, also easy for you to pick up by yourself. I can take out the retractable front lever and then use the grip that's back on the kickstand to pick the machine up myself. Or a lot of times if we got a two-man crew, somebody's back on the operating levers back here, somebody else on the front. If we find a need at all to actually pick it up, again, most of the time transportation up and down stairs are with the transport wheels themselves. So as you can see, the Bona Power Drive is a great all-around design from an operational point of view. That floating effect helps keep you and your technicians in a very comfortable position with less strain on you and the machine all day long, so that you can really concentrate on creating those beautiful floors every day with it. So what's new on the 2025 model? Well, hopefully the first thing you notice is the new 270-degree LED lamp. A great design that helps you really see what's going down on the floor, and much improved over our, two lamp, more of a directional system that we had before that you might have to adjust side to side. With being 270 degrees on this LED lamp, no adjustment needed. You're going to be able to see what's going on around your machine the whole time you're operating your power drive. We've also got some rubber bumpers built into the bottom just to help reduce any vibrations coming from the machine up into the light. A nice deflector shield that pushes the light down to the floor, keeps anything up into your eyes or where it's not needed. And then we've also got an integrated kickstand. So the thing about this kickstand is it really protects your sanding pads. So without the kickstand, especially if guys are not too gentle when they're rocking their machine back and forth to change abrasives, or maybe you're rocking it back to put it up into the truck, you've left weights on it, you've left the sanding drive plate on it, which we recommend both those be taken off before transportation. It's just going to protect these sanding pads from getting bent. Because without the kickstand, if I bend the machine back, all the pressure could be on a single pad right on the edge, and that has resulted in guys bending pads before, which then may result in some unwanted scratches in the floor. The kickstand solves all that. And it's spring-loaded, so easy to retract when you're done with it. And the nice urethane tires on this also roll around easily on the floor. So when it's tilted back, if you need to move it into position in the tilt back mode, it's easy to do there as well as with your regular transport wheels. Then also new for 2025, tucked down in here, is our new multimeter. So what I like about the new design is once you plug the machine in, it's always on. Whereas the old multimeter, you have to actually turn the machine on. This one tells me right away though how much power I've got coming in before I ever turn on the machine. It not only tells you voltage, but also your run time in hours, what frequency you're operating it on, and it's expandable. So these meters are made to do more than the three things we've programmed into them. So maybe down the line we figure out some other information that might be good for you to know and get feedback to you why you're operating the machine. But I think we're in a good spot, but nice to know it's expandable down the line as well. And then the weight kit. Now you don't have to buy these extra. Now they come standard with your power drive. And it's because we got such great feedback from, again, people who have been using it for the last 10 years on just how indispensable the weights were for, again, efficient, effective operation of their power drive. You've got 2 different 15-pound plates that you can add. Again, that gives you a lot of flexibility in adding both for 30 pounds, taking maybe one off then when you move to your medium cut, having none on when you go to your fine cut. But we just wanted to make these standard issue now instead of optional, just because of that great feedback that you guys have given us over the last 10 years on how helpful these were to have with your power drive. So you can see some really nice new simple features on the 2025 model that I think really jump the power drive up several levels. And most of them are easy to retrofit if you've got an existing power drive. Definitely the light and the kickstand are super easy to retrofit. The weights, you should be already able to fit them on your existing power drive. And the multimeter is the only one that's maybe a little bit technical, but probably not something I would look to upgrading right away. Whereas if I've got an older unit, I'm definitely getting the light and the kickstand for it. So that's it, the Bona Power Drive. And when you really think about everything the power drive has done since 2014, to change your approach to how you're sanding floors, the processes you use, you really can't afford not to have one. It reduces the stress and strain on you as a user and on the floor. Super easy, low learning curve, so you can get anybody up from day one using this thing and producing beautiful floors. It's incredibly versatile from all the different options on driver plates and abrasives we can run on it. So let's make sure we're all working a little smarter and get yourself a Bona Power Drive today for you and your crews, or get another one to make sure all your crews have one. Believe me, they'll thank you for it, as will your customers and their floors.